The only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
As we head towards colder weather, it's important to make sure you're up to date on vaccinations and protected from COVID-19. The Native American Community Clinic is now administering the updated Pfizer bivalent booster. The updated bivalent booster helps protect against the original COVID-19 strain and against newer Omicron variants. And it will help restore protection that has decreased since previous vaccinations. People age 5 and older are now recommended to get an updated bivalent booster dose at least 2 months after their last COVID-19 shot. That means the bivalent booster may be given after a person's primary series or after their last booster shot, regardless of what brand you received before. Even if you've already had COVID-19, you should get vaccinated. Right now, at the Native American Community Clinic, you can get COVID-19 vaccines, including updated boosters, at the same visit as other vaccines. However, if you've received a recent monkeypox vaccine, you may need to wait 4 weeks before you can get a COVID-19 vaccine, and you should discuss this with your provider. Schedule your vaccination appointment with the Native American Community Clinic by calling 612-872-8086.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Snow tonight with a low of 17, then more snow on Saturday with a high of 20. The AM 950 calendar is back along with the new AM 950 poster. They're only available as thank you gifts for our members. To become a member, go to am950radio.com to see how you can sign up.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous.
Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, Henny cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake. Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives out there in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. We discuss local and national Native news and events. And as you know, Wendy, Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Native Roots Trading Post, located in downtown Minneapolis at 700 Nicollet Mall. We're on the first floor of the Dayton's building. We support Native artists.
I gave you a little background music on there. Did you?
I appreciate it.
Hey, I heard Matt McNeil today on the radio, and it's great to hear that he's on the mend and
awesome,
in high spirits. And I don't know if that's the drugs or just he's in high spirits, but it was great to hear his voice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Really.
Hey, and Wendy, we got the dream team on today. Ogama, of course, you. Yeah. Oh, Ogama just waved her fist. And then Mary Kunesh is back this week. So we're excited to have a awesome rockin' show. And you know what that means? I don't have to work that hard. So without further ado, let's go with Ogama with the news, who does work really hard here. Welcome, Ogama.
Hey, Buju, everybody. This is Ogama Ganuakwe. I am a citizen of the Red Lake Nation in northern Minnesota, and I have some news for you today. Earlier this week, officials announced a major breakthrough in nuclear fusion. For the first time since they began studying and working on nuclear fusion decades ago, they were finally able to create a nuclear fusion reaction resulting in a net energy gain. This is a really landmark achievement and a huge milestone for clean energy. Nuclear fusion, so if you don't know, it's a man made process that replicates the same energy that powers the sun. Nuclear fusion happens when two or more atoms are fused together into a larger one, and that process generates a massive amount of energy as heat. They've been studying this, scientists have been studying this for years, hoping to create a new source that would provide carbon free, limitless energy without nuclear waste created by the current nuclear reactors. And the fusion projects mainly use two elements, due to dirt, the two elements, both of which are parts of hydrogen, or hydrogen, excuse me. And basically, they find these elements are rare, but they can be synthetically made. So this would be able to use hydrogen, which is one of the most abundant things found in the universe, and build these two elements from it to help to create power. This is the first time that they've ever done this, and this is, breaking even is basically all they've ever done as far as the energy goes in these previous experiments. The next steps are for scientists to figure out how to produce much more energy from nuclear fusion and on a much larger scale. They're going to need time to figure out how to reduce the cost of nuclear fusion so that it can be used commercially. And they'll need time, obviously, to create power energy produced by fusion and transfer it to the power grid as electricity. It unfortunately will take years and possibly more decades before fusion is going to be able to produce that unlimited clean energy. But there's a lot of good talk. President Joe Biden had set a 10-year goal of getting to a commercial fusion reactor, and obviously having the goal of net zero energy by 2050. So that would be within that time frame, seeing as we're in the 2020s now. But it's not just the United States who needs clean energy, and there's going to be other countries who are going to be working on this as well. So it's really exciting, but the especially exciting part that I heard is that there is a Native person who was involved with this. The person's name is oh, I hear it. Isaiah England, and he had a role in the electrical engineering department, and he is Inuit and also Fond du Lac descendant. So that's why it made it into Native news today, Robert.
Yeah, well, and the original use of that was the hydrogen bomb to end World War II. So they've finally taken them 70 or 80 years to minimize that into some energy, controllable energy.
Right, exactly. And it's going to take more time, but the future of clean energy is hopefully on its way because don't we need it definitely. All of us pipeline fighters here who are ready to be done with crude oil pipelines and mining and destruction to Mother Earth and the sovereignty of Native people are definitely ready to see this happen. So speaking of sovereignty and Native people, I want to remind everybody that South Dakota is shut down, but the indigenous creatures are active, according to a Facebook post. The Lakota Nation Invitational Tournament happened in Rapid City. The Dakota 38 plus 2 riders are still heading east for Mankato, and the Bigfoot riders have begun their journey to Wounded Knee. So, for those of you who
How are they?
don't know, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, how are they doing that in this weather? It's crazy.
I am not sure because most of the roads are impassable, but both of the
Mhm.
Bigfoot riders and the Dakota 38 plus 2 riders are actually on horseback.
Mm,
So they may have an easier time passing in certain places than
mm.
perhaps waiting for things to be cleared. But I'm not sure. But I do know that there is a GoFundMe. If you search Dakota 38 plus 2 on GoFundMe, the horse ride for 2022 does have a donation page, and they have all the information so that you can follow them, as well as the history of the Dakota 38. For those of you who plus 2, excuse me, for those of you who don't know, On December 26th, 1862, 38 Dakota were hung in Mankato, Minnesota for their resistance to promises not kept by the U.S. government to compensate the Dakota Treaty. And on November 11th of 1865 at Fort Snelling, 3 years later, there were also 2 Dakota chiefs that were hung there. And this Dakota 38 is today still the largest mass execution in the history of the United States. After this, what's known as the Dakota Conflict or the Minnesota Uprising, or the U.S. Dakota War of 1862, the captives and their prisoners were exiled at Crow Creek Agency in Fort Thompson, South Dakota. And there was loss of life that occurred for women and children who died of cold and hunger through that winter at what was essentially a concentration camp. And there was suffering, humiliation, degradation, trauma. It was just really unbelievable how they were treated. And I believe that Dakota people were also interned at Fort Snelling here in Minnesota. So each year on the day after Christmas, on December 26th, people gather at Fort Snelling in Minnesota, or in Mankato, Minnesota, at the site of the hanging, and they talk about and take time to remember those people. And the horse riders are descendants of the Lakota from the Great Plains in Canada, and they come across Turtle Island from South Dakota. People are welcome to join them to bring awareness to the U.S. history and to pray and to heal and sacrifice through ceremony and equine therapy or horse therapy. It's really a beautiful thing to follow. So we'll be following this as we can, getting updates here and there if we can with the rider or with the weather. I hope we might be able to talk to a rider or two this year, Robert. I don't know.
I don't know, but I've been down there in Mankato. I've also been for the run that's Christmas night that runs to Mankato.
Mhm.
There's runners running down there for the 38, and also the original 38 plus 2 horseback ride was a dream by one of the leaders, and I think he's retiring. I'm not sure if somebody's going to take it over again, but he had a dream for this, and I don't remember. Do you know, Ogama, how many years they've been doing this?
I don't know how many years they've been doing that, but I could maybe try to look it up when we're on commercial break and let you guys know. I do know that for the Bigfoot ride, that was started in 1986, and the Bigfoot ride, which also took off out of South Dakota this week, was started by 3 Lakota men who decided to ride their horses on the same path Chief Bigfoot and his 350 followers took. So that is starting right now too.
Wow, that's some great information. Thank you again, Ogama, with the news that you don't hear anywhere else. Up next, State Senator Mary Kunesh, and then what we're all waiting for, Wendy, is a sacred animal portion of the show. We'll be right back after this short break.
Stay with us.
We are your relatives,
We are your relations,
brothers,
sisters,
sons.
daughters,
And some of us are your grandchildren.
We are your community. Historically, we held places of honor and respect. Because of the impact of colonization, some of us are rejected, thrown out from family, friends, and community, set up as targets for sexual violence, sex trafficked, humiliated, tortured, and murdered. Everybody has the right to be safe. We are your relatives. Remember,
Homophobia is not traditional.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to MNsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Hi, I'm Rachel Shamblat. My dad is Dr. Scott Shamblat from Shamblat Family Dentistry. A lot of people are afraid of the dentist, but you don't have to be. My dad makes going to the dentist comfortable and even fun. He won't be mad if you haven't seen a dentist in a long time. He just wants to take care of you and your teeth. If you don't see my dad, please see another dentist. Take care of your teeth because they're the only ones you get.
Shamblat Family Dentistry in Hopkins and St. Paul. Find them online at shamblatfamilydentistry.com or call 1-800-FIX-MY-TEETH.
This is Leonard Peltier. I am in Coleman 1, U.S. Penitentiary, and I'm listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MNsure. MNsure can help you find a plan that covers your prescriptions and save you money. Visit mnsure.org to get started.
Hey, it's a Friday, and Wendy's here, and State Senator Mary Kunesh is here. We've missed you, Mary. It seems like forever we haven't seen you, but it's only been 1 week.
1 week.
So it's really good to see you back again, and for your great updates. And I just got to say something before we get going too. That music in the background, I'll let everyone know, with Leonard Peltier speaking, is the AIM song sung really slow. And I asked an artist to do that for me, and I can't think of her name, but I will look it up soon, and we can give her credit, because that's a amazing little recording in the background, and we appreciate Leonard listening to the show. And I was at MAST, Minnesota, or not, Midwest Alliance of Tribes this week, and we voted to push the envelope and write a letter to Biden about getting Leonard Peltier out. So exciting things. And speaking of exciting things, we have State Senator Mary Kunesh on. Welcome back. And we had your daughter on. That was fun a couple weeks ago. And I see you got a Christmas tree back there. And welcome back.
Yep. Well, Hate to Wash Day, everyone. Good to be back. Yes, it feels like it's been a while, but it really was just last week. And I was at an event and was one of the speakers. So I thought I might eke it in, but it didn't work out. So thanks for giving me a day off. I'll just add that to my PTO. And it's the season. So today my granddaughter and I put up a little tree in my house and kind of got the house ready. I've just been so busy, I haven't been able to do anything seasonally. So today was a good day to do that. It's so cold out, I guess.
You guess? You're like Wendy, you don't leave the house?
Just wait, it's going to get colder.
Yeah, I have not left the house today. We went out on the deck because little Rita wanted to see what it's like to be in the snow. But other than that, no, we stayed cozy in the house.
Well, and we're excited, and I'm sure in the forefront, you're thinking about the great things you're going to do for our state here, Minnesota, because we have the trifecta, and I'm excited too. Got to see the lieutenant governor and governor yesterday too. That was exciting, and he was talking to all the tribes at the 11 tribes of Minnesota at Prairie Island. And so I'm excited to make the big push to get Ho-Chunk recognized here, seeing that we are original treaty people. And one of the things Ogama talked about today was the 38+2, and I know you're really, really involved with that. And that'll be the day after Christmas down in Mankato. The Ho-Chunk, as all of us know, and if you don't know, we signed the original treaties back in the 1847, and we've been here for 10,000 years, and we were removed the same time the Lakotas were removed, which is really just a weird part of history that a lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm afraid I don't know the history very well about our Ho-Chunk sisters and brothers, but we know that you've been around in these parts for a long, long time, and I know that that a lot of you, the nation has been working hard to get that recognition here in Minnesota. I don't know what you have to do to get that. I'm wondering if you have to go through the federal government for that, Robert. Do you know?
I do know, and I think you and I will talk about it, because before it was the governor could okay that kind of thing, but now it has to go through legislation. So I have to find a sponsor of the bill, but that's a thing we can talk about off the air
Sure.
sometime.
Sure. But yeah, the Dakota 38, I plan on going down on the 26th and welcoming in the riders, and then heading into town to welcome the runners. And I have heard that it's going to be the very last one, so I really want to be there to do that. And I'm just always so impressed by the folks that show up for it, by the riders, by the runners. And it certainly is absolutely important to commemorate that event. And so I'm always honored to be able to go down there and join in the community with that.
Yeah, and be one of the speakers, which is really awesome. And I think it's great that the community sees the great work you're doing and really putting you in the forefront. And so
Mhm.
it's always cool to see you at any event, but I know I've seen you at this event too.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I'm really honored to be able to be in a position where I can work on making a difference for the tribes here in Minnesota. And you mentioned that we now have the trifecta. The Democrats hold the majority in the House, the Senate, and we have a Democratic governor. And I really do believe that we're going, yes, clap, clap, celebrate. Woo! I We really do have the best interest of Minnesotans at heart. You know, the farmers and the middle class and the workers. Those are really the people that we are looking to do our best for. And some of our listeners know that I was a teacher for 25 years, and I am so fortunate to have been assigned to be the chair of education finance in Minnesota, which is an incredibly daunting responsibility. And I'm not going to lie, I did not know the breadth of responsibility. They call it jurisdiction, financial jurisdiction. But I basically have an opportunity to correctly fund our schools. Make sure that no kid who comes to school hungry isn't fed, whether it's a breakfast and a lunch. So we're looking at universal lunches for our students. I'd like to extend it to staff, but we just haven't got that far. Our mental health support systems aren't there. Cross subsidies for ELL, our English learners, and our special ed kids. I've been visiting schools now at least twice a week, different schools, and listening to the teachers. That's who I really want to listen to, and their administrators. I want to talk to the kids and see what's up with them. But I really want to focus on the voice of the students. That's really sort of my theme. And we'll be asking students to come to the Capitol or Zoom in and tell us what's up with them, and then make the best decisions based on the requests and the suggestions of the teachers and those students to the best that we can. And we're really fortunate in Minnesota to have a pretty significant surplus. So, if everything were up to me, I would start moving some of those funds into the schools right away so that we can alleviate some of the pressures and the stressors, and even perhaps start really fully resourcing the classrooms. And I mean, cost of transportation in rural Minnesota is astronomical, and I'm sure it
Yeah.
is in the other states. The cost of feeding our kids in a good way is a good investment. It really does affect their mental health, their physical health, their social emotional health. And so we'll be looking at a lot of really good ways to support students in Minnesota, and hopefully get back to being at the top of the list on how our students not only performing, but when I think I've read this, and it was an African politician. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they said if you want to evaluate, or if you want to look at the health and happiness of a country or a place, look at the children. Are the children happy? Are the children healthy? are the children the focus and a priority? And that's really what I want to do, is look at the children and look at what their needs are going to be now and in the future, and work towards, full happiness and health for all.
Right on. And we got like a minute left, Mary. And I know we've talked about this, you and I, on the radio. I'm a former high school teacher, and I think not only is it important to fund these schools and have equal funding, I agree 100%. But let's help our paraprofessionals out there. Wendy and I
Oh,
were
yeah.
out there at voting early. We ran into the superintendent of St. Paul Public Schools, and I said, "Oh, I retired," and blah blah blah. And I said, if I don't get elected again as a Ho-Chunk representative, I'm going to come back as a para. And he said, "Well, we have 80 openings right now because a lot of people aren't coming back. You can't feed your family, as a paraprofessional, and they're boots on the ground, as you know."
Yeah, 100%. I was actually at a school over in St. Paul yesterday, and the superintendent was there, and we had a really good talk. He was there with us the whole time, had a lot to share with us, had a lot of good questions. So I'm happy to work with that gentleman and any of the superintendents that have good ideas.
Excellent. Hey, Mary, stay with us for another segment with State Senator Mary Kunesh. This is Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake.
Stay with us.
Hey, Wendy, what are we doing for dinner after the show?
How about we go to J. Selby's on 169 Victoria Street in St. Paul? They have a delicious plant-based menu that's compassionate and environmentally sustainable.
I'm getting their spot-on vegan Big Mac, the dirty secret.
You can pick up and they deliver within a 5-mile radius, or you can call them at 651-222-3263 or visit jselbys.com.
Well, you sold me, Wen. Let's go order at J. Selby's tonight.
I'm hungry.
Minnesota has the only original wolf population in the continental United States, and 80% of Minnesotans believe the wolf should be protected. Howling for Wolves is asking Minnesotans to respect our true wildlife manager, the wolf. Their survival is critical to our ecosystems, our communities, and even our economy. As highly intelligent animals with strong social bonds, Minnesota wolves deserve to be protected and admired. Learn more at howlingforwolves.org. Let's live and let howl.
This is David from The David Pakman Show, where we expose the Hatriots, liars, and Trumpists. Weekdays at 2 p.m. on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
'Tis the season to be jolly, and nothing makes me jollier than a clean home. If you just had Thanksgiving at home, you're probably still assessing the headaches your holiday company caused to your carpets, tiles, and maybe even the upholstery. And now you have less than a month before it's going to happen all over again. Call Zero Res today and ask for the AM 950 special and free room Zero Resified for just $119. That's a $50 savings. And don't forget those air ducts. Take another $75 off your air duct service to get them Zero Res clean. Also, are you looking for last-minute gift ideas? Give your loved ones a Zero Res gift card to spread the Zero Res clean cheer. Call 952-ZERO-RES or visit ZeroResMinnesota.com to schedule your appointment today and beat the holiday rush. Lastly, now is the best time to book Zero Res for your year-end office cleaning and get you ready to provide your employees and patrons a clean and safe environment for 2023.
Seward Co-op is now offering convenient self-serve and prepackaged hot options and salad bars at both the Franklin and Friendship stores. Breakfast items available daily until 11 a.m. and brunch served all day every Sunday. Their weekly lunch and dinner menus highlight cuisines from around the world. They offer vegan, vegetarian, and gluten-free options daily. 95% of the ingredients used are organic from small-scale, local community food producers whenever possible. More at seward.coop.
Winter is here, and there's a good chance your home isn't being heated efficiently. And it's likely because of air sealing and insulation problems. Inadequate attic insulation is the leading contributor to high energy bills, cold rooms, and ice dams. Great news, the energy-efficient pros at Snap Construction can fix it all. Stop the heat from leaking out and save. Call 612-333-SNAP or visit snapconstruction.com for your free infrared energy inspection. Install with Snap Construction and qualify for over $750 in rebates and incentives. State and city programs are now offering 0% financing for qualifying insulation upgrades. So call Snap Construction for your free insulation energy consultation and start saving on your energy bills. Call 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com. Snap Construction is arguably the most well-reviewed insulation and exterior contractor in the metro area. Visit snapconstruction.com.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Snow tonight with a low of 17, then more snow on Saturday with a high of 20. Crooners Supper Club has the hottest concerts to heat up these cold nights. Crooners is located just north of I-694 off Highway 65 in Fridley. See the concert schedule and the dinner menus at croonersmn.com.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is brought to you by MN350, a grassroots organization fighting for climate justice.
Hey, we're here with State Senator Mary Kunesh, and we're talking fun talk because we have the trifecta here in Minnesota, and we're going to get some things done here. And welcome back, State Senator. Really excited for what's coming up. What are your plans? I know it sounds like you're reaching out to the schools, and that's great. And is it January 4th or 5th when you start up again?
We start up on January 3rd, and I'd like to invite you to come to the Capitol that morning. We have our first ever round dance to bring in the session in a really good way. All of the elected legislators, so myself, and then Representative Becker Finn, Representative Keeler, and our new representative, oh my gosh, what is her last name? It's not Kowalski.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, Kowalski.
Kozlowski. Kozlowski, there's a Z in it.
We will all be there, and it'll be a joyous occasion. We haven't had that before. And then on the House, in the House, they will be welcoming the 11 tribal leaders into their house, into the House chamber. We haven't had the kind of exposure in the Senate that the House has. So I think that's really wonderful. And it's the very first time ever the tribal leaders have been invited into to that day. And then there'll be a little, like a reception that afterwards down in the lower basement of the Capitol. So Robert and anybody else who's in the vicinity, please come join us for that round dance. That's on January 3rd, and it's at, I believe, 11:15. So in the rotunda.
I appreciate the invite, because now we got a second invite, because State Representative Heather Keeler invited us too. So we're excited to come, and I'll be there handing out business cards and saying hello to everyone.
Sure. Well, there's another really great event that's coming up on Tuesday, on the 20th of this month, and this tribe beat me to it. But Boys Fort is issuing their own tribal MMIR and MMIW license plate. If you remember last year, I carried legislation that just didn't get over the finish line. And so the Fond du Lac Band of Lake Superior, Chippewa, and the Boys Fort Band of Chippewa are going to be creating these license plate to raise the awareness about our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. And so there's a big celebration up at Black Bear Casino on the 20th at 10 o'clock in the morning. So I'm going to drive up there for that, get up and hit the road a little bit early, but I think it's really important that we go up there and celebrate with them. And then
That-
come back and pass the legislation this next year for sure. So it's
and
statewide.
then right, and then we'll get our new license plates on our car, Wendy.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's another
Mhm.
event, Mary. I'm hoping some of your constituents will come. It's on February 7th, Wolf Day. It's sponsored by Howling for Wolves. So we're going to be there. And somebody will be making appointments for constituents to get in touch with their senators and representatives to talk about how important it is to keep our Minnesota wolves here alive and well. So I'm hoping some of your
Wonderful.
constituents will be there on February 7th, and we'll talk about that with you.
That would be really great. I'm happy to meet with those folks and hear about the good work that you're doing. You know, the Capitol hasn't been open to the public for how many years now? Like 3 years for sure.
Yeah.
And so we've sort of lost that personal connection. And it's been interesting. I've been going into the Capitol. I now have a new office. I'm up on the 3rd floor of the Senate building, and my assistant is there. And we get so much more work done when we're there in person. You know, I can just like shout out to him, and instead of texting him or giving him a phone call, we're right there. And so I think it'll be a different kind of session this year. And it will certainly be constituent and people focused the way it hasn't been able to be the last couple of years.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed going to the Capitol and talking with my representative and senator about various different things, not just animal things, but I've talked about, like HIV medications for people and all kinds of stuff. So
And it's really important that
guys.
people, that the people of the state recognize that their voice should and does count, and that it's oftentimes intimidating for them to either speak to their senator or their representative, or to go into the Capitol and ask for an appointment. But you know what? That is the absolute best way for us to understand the issues and to know what's important to the people that are, in our communities and in our state. And so, if there's somebody out there that has a real burning issue, or really feels like there's a piece of legislation that's so important, please reach out to your elected officials and let them know. I mean, we're planning on passing some pretty really good legislation right from the start. We want to get the ERA, get that settled so that we can put that on the ballot for the next one, the Equal Rights Amendment. We want to codify Roe versus Wade in our state constitution, and ensure that women have reproductive choices and health. Minnesota is moving towards legalizing recreational marijuana, and so that's a really big discussion. Sports betting, and the tribes are really the ones that are are holding the key to that. There's just a lot of really good work that we're going to be doing. I'm on the Agriculture Committee as well, so that's going to be really interesting. Lots of fun there. And so I'm really looking forward to this next session. It will be overwhelming and I'm sure exhausting, but I'm just feeling like we have such an opportunity to make good changes, and so are my colleagues. So I hope that our GOP partners will recognize that and join us in it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we hope so too. So are you going to be working with issues like the growing of hemp as an agricultural person in the Senate? Does that fit under your jurisdiction?
It probably does. I would think that there would be some discussion. I'm not the chair of that, but I will be sitting on the committee and hearing those bills. I think the legalization part of it goes through commerce and public safety and state government finance, but I'm not on those. But I would imagine that if there are some of these bills that around hemp production and manufacture, growing and manufacturing and creating products out of it, we probably will hear that. Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, and that's what I was talking about, not the marijuana aspect, but
Oh,
the
okay.
the other plant for sure, because we can do so much. And I mean, the last pandemic, we ran out of toilet paper and paper towels. People were hoarding that, and I think having hemp out there as a possible product to plus, how many trees are we destroying for these things where we can, even in Minnesota, have 3 crops of hemp each year, and you know that.
Well, I didn't know there's that the cycle is 3 times a year. Holy cats. I thought it was 2, but that's
Well,
really
maybe it
great.
is true. Maybe
I
it
don't
is
know.
true.
We'll find out. We'll find out. Yeah.
Ogama's looking it up right now going, "Oh my gosh, she said 3." Right, Ogama?
Well, we need something. We need a plant that, has a lot of cycles. It's like bamboo also,
Oh, yeah.
grows really
Exactly.
quick. It's
I
sustainable. You could use it for many things.
I'm getting conflicting information on the internet about how to tell the two apart. So
Okay.
Oh,
So
the female and the male?
ahead or how many times it regenerates.
yeah, well, it's one of those things where people maybe were looking up hemp's more reckless sister. So I'm getting a lot of results related to Miss Mary Jane and not actually related to hemp right now as I'm trying to
That's what we
search it.
called it. Code for Mary Jane in high school.
Wasn't
No,
it 420?
no, that's it now.
Oh.
That's yeah.
I don't even know that it needs to be in code
Anyway.
now.
Yeah,
It's almost
hey.
legal.
Yeah. Yeah. It's we're past that by now, but who'd have thought? Who'd have thought 30, 40 years ago that we'd be legalizing marijuana? Where I grew up, in northern Minnesota, just 80 miles north of the Twin Cities. So not northern. I lived in a little town and we were surrounded by farms. And during which World War was it that they grew a lot of hemp and they used that for rope and parachutes and stuff like that. So we had a lot of wild hemp growing in our, in out in the country. And it
Right.
wasn't until a little older that we realized the difference between that hemp and the kind that you smoke. But it's been used before. It's been around for a long, long time. I'm just really surprised that we haven't used that product more as time has gone by.
Yeah. Well, it's a time now, and with the trifecta, we can probably talk a little bit more about using it and taxing it in a good way. So, I mean,
Yep.
people are selling marijuana, and let's use hemp and manufacture paper and bricks and all the things that people are trying to do out there on Turtle Island. So,
Yeah.
State Senator, thank you so much for stopping in as usual, as always. Always good to hear from you, and you sound great, loud and clear. And thank you again for coming in to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake.
Oh, my pleasure. Wopila, everybody. Take care.
Right on. Hey, that was State Senator Mary Kunesh, Wendy. And you are listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. And up next, we're having our Sacred Animal section with superstar Wendy Pilot.
Stay with us. Hey, Ogama, I've been hearing a lot about this term, climate justice. What is that?
Climate justice is recognizing that the negative impacts of climate change don't affect all people equally. It also means transitioning from a fossil fuel-based economy to a more sustainable future. MN350 is one of the groups that's pushing for this transition to protect our futures. You can even get involved too.
That's great, especially since I'm concerned about pipeline projects like Line 3. How can I help MN350?
Just find them on Facebook or visit mn350.org.
Health insurance that fits my budget? I'm covered. I needed health coverage I could count on and afford. MNsure helped me find a plan that works for me, and they helped me save money. Did you know that most Minnesotans qualify for savings through MNsure? And they have free experts who can help you sign up for coverage. Go to MNsure.org today and get started and get covered. That's mnsure.org. mnsure.org.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
This holiday season, the Park Tavern is the best place to unwind. The Park Tavern is open regular hours, including Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, with the full menu available. Your family will enjoy quality time together on the best bowling lanes in Minnesota. The Park Tavern is a great place to catch all the games on their numerous screens. And don't forget, they're still offering their great deal on gift cards. Buy a $100 gift card and get a $25 gift card for free. On Louisiana Avenue, north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park, relax this holiday season with the Park Tavern.
This portion of the show is supported by Howling for Wolves. Please join Howling for Wolves on Wolf Day, Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 at the Minnesota State Capitol. You can sign up on Howling for Wolves event page. Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot. Wow, let's do that again, Wendy.
This portion of the show is brought to you by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Hey, I want to introduce my awesome and beautiful wife, Wendy. Wendy's been an animal advocate for many, many years, and she discusses our sacred animals whenever she's on, and she's been on for the past 6 years since the beginning of the show. So I just want to throw it out to you and welcome you and welcome you.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is Hanajihihani. That means cares for them, and I was given that name by my Dega Curtis. Curtis goes by Mashke Hanajinga. Mashke Hanajinga, yes. That means walks on white clouds. I'm a humane policy volunteer leader for the Humane Society of the United States, and I work on animal issues at the local and state level. It's always my pleasure to do that. Yesterday was really good news in New York, Robert. You want to hear what happened in New York?
Absolutely.
Yes, a great day for animals. New York Governor Huckle signed the Puppy Mill Pipeline Bill, making New York the sixth state to ban the retail sale of dogs, cats, and rabbits. So way to go, New York. Woohoo! And you know, it's funny. I've been mentioning every time one of these puppy mill, humane pet store ordinances, that's what it's called, comes up in a state or a locality around, and I mention it. I feel like I do it like at least once a month. So I'm really happy. We're going to end the sale of dogs and cats that derive from these horrible, horrible places, these puppy mills. When I say puppy mills, it also includes cats and rabbits. So I just want that to and Minnesota's doing great. Not the whole state. We didn't go the whole state yet, but maybe we will. But we have cities in Minnesota: Eden Prairie, Roseville, St. Paul, Carver, and Cloquet, and over 412 localities through the United States, plus the 6 states that I mentioned. And the other states are California, Maryland, Maine, Washington, Illinois, and finally now New York. That just happened yesterday. So they all have addressed the problem of the puppy mill puppies and kittens sold in these pet stores. So we will end this, hopefully, in my lifetime.
Yeah.
We will see. The other story I wanted to talk to you about that I'm kind of excited to tell everybody about, that there are lion cubs from Ukraine. And Robert, do you know where they are? I have an article here from NPR. It's dated December 9th, so a week ago. And the cubs from Ukraine, the lion cubs. Ogama has a picture. Oh, there's our lion cub walking in. She just does things just in the nick of time here, this cat. But anyway, Robert, like many new Minnesotans, and these are their kitty cats' names, these lions, Taurus, Stefana, Lesia, and Prada are preparing for their first Minnesota winter, but things are a bit different when you have a built-in fur coat. The 4 lion cubs from Ukraine arrived at the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, on November 30th, they showed up. Over the last week, they have been fearless, according to the founder and executive director, Tammy Thies. And she's been on our show before.
Really?
Yeah, she's talked about her sanctuary. It's a really great sanctuary. Again, it's called the Wildcat Sanctuary in Sandstone, Minnesota. So if you want to have it in your heart to give a gift for the holiday season or become a sponsor of one of these cubs, you can go ahead and do that. The unique aspects of the cub story is their relationship with each other. They were bred in captivity, designed for the illegal pet market at just a few weeks old. And they were surrendered in Ukraine in a zipped duffel bag. So these cubs were bred and they were going to be put on the illegal market. Like people take pictures of with them and kept confined, and they would have had a horrible life there. Bringing the cubs to Minnesota offered the best chance to keep them safe and provide the support they needed. According to the Wildcat Sanctuary, they had already imprinted on humans and would have little success in the wild. Quote, they have each other for support, and that has built their confidence. The owner and executive director of the sanctuary said, knowing all they have been through in their short lives is heartbreaking, but they are protected from the war and they remain healthy and happy cubs. The journey to Minnesota, while long, has been worthwhile for the cubs. Neighboring sanctuaries in Europe were overflowing with animals from Ukraine, so it was in Sandstone they found their lifetime home. It costs about $10,000 a year to pay for one big cat, but Thies says it's worth it. All the animals are provided 24/7 access to heated rooms and straw in their outdoor caves and dens. As expected, the cubs have adapted to the Minnesota climate, especially the snow. They grow thicker coats to assimilate to the new environment. According to the Denver Zoo, lions actually love snow. They usually spend most of their days finding ways to be cool, and playing in the snow helps them not overheat. Minnesotans can be part of the cubs' journey and watch them grow on the Wildcat Sanctuary Facebook and YouTube, or support their care by becoming a sponsor of the cubs. And they're really, really cute little cubs here. So I'm glad to hear that they're safe and they're out of Ukraine, away from the war. And they would have had a horrible life being like roadside pets. They would have been chained to the back of a truck. And that's how they would have lived their life. So I'm really happy about that. But as usual, come, Lucy. This is our cat, Lucy. So it's really funny, but when I do the sacred animal section, she finds her way in and she's very vocal. So she just meows and meows. So
She wants to be on the radio just like everybody else.
yeah. So there was a couple of fun facts because today is Friday. So it's Fun Fact Friday. And I have mentioned some of these in the past, but I'm going to say it again because they're a lot of fun and it's always a good reminder about our sacred animals. But do you remember, Robert, koalas?
Right.
The fingerprints are so close to humans that they could taint crime scenes. Yeah. Do you remember me talking about koalas?
If you had a
in there?
koala in on a crime and just had the koala's fingerprints all over the gun and the and the door and the lamp, they would be confused because they'd be looking for somebody,
I
a human and not a
know.
koala.
Isn't that crazy? I love the little story about the prairie dogs. Now,
Oh.
prairie dogs are one of my favorite animals because I think
They
that
don't bark, though.
they're super cute. But they stand up on their hind legs and they kiss each other.
Oh.
Isn't that cute? That's
Yeah.
a really that is a fun fact
We used
about
to do
prairie dogs. We used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the days, right?
God.
Female lions do 90% of the hunting. Female women do most of the hunting here and the shopping and cooking and everything. That has changed. But yeah, female lions do 90% of the hunting. You're gonna have to let me know when I'm out of time because I'm not looking
You
at
got
the
30
clock.
seconds.
Oh, okay. The world's oldest known breed of domesticated dog dates back to 329 BC. So dogs have been in our lives for a really, really long time.
That's why they can manipulate us, because they know how to play us.
They do know how to play us, especially the cats too.
Well, hey, I want to say thanks to Ogama and State Senator Mary Kunesh and Wendy. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier.
Now.
Eat Local Minnesota is a great way to find locally owned Minnesota restaurants and food